Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. It's time to experience what's possible. So, are you guys ready to embrace the fact that you are the one you've been waiting for? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we're helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are a couple of the amazing authors of our newest book that just came out today, you guys. This one is the third in the Shaman Heart series. It's called We Are the Ones We've Been Waiting For. I love, love, love the sunrise colors on this beautiful book. So, before I introduce my authors to you today, I have a huge shout out to our lead authors, Stephanie Urbina Jones, Jeremy Pager, and Jorge Luis Delgado. Thank you. Thanks to all three of you for your big vision and mission for this book. It wasn't just a book, y'all. We traveled to Peru under their leadership and guidance and had an amazing, I've been calling it a spiritual pilgrimage, a journey, an author's journey. So many things I could say about our experience together. And I'm so grateful for you guys and that vision you had to bring this author cast together and do the work of healing and transformation that we did. And then we came back and we got this book together, and I cannot wait to get it into your hands. So you get to meet two of our authors today. Dr. Ken Gold is the director of the Rocky Mountain Recovery Foundation in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and is currently developing a tachyon chamber healing modality based on Peruvian, Egyptian, and Aztec spiritual practices. Welcome, Ken.
Thank you.
Heather Wessling is also with us today. She's the founder and creator of Sacred Life's Journey. She's a best-selling author and a personal freedom and empowerment coach, where the goal is to live your life fully and authentically. And Miss Heather, we're going to start this party off with you today. Take a minute to introduce your chapter and give us a little bit of the why behind it.
Yes, so my chapter is chapter 9, Striking Down the Walls of Traumas, Breathing and Rising into Your Power. The chapter talks about that your triggers that came from your traumas are all around, and that when you begin working on your triggers, no matter how painful they are, you can still find your power. You have the power inside of you the whole time. When your triggers are triggering you, just take a moment, breathe, and find that power within you, and you can rise above it.
Well, it's no joke. Those triggers are no joke, especially if you've been through trauma. What's that thing you want people to know about that if they find themselves in the middle of a trigger? Like, what's step one for you?
Being aware of it. When you notice that your breathing is rapid, just to take a moment, stop, take a deep breath in and let it all out. Close your eyes and become centered.
I love starting this conversation with awareness, because awareness is everything. Like, awareness is the way we transform. Awareness is how we take something that is painful and traumatic and turn it into something that serves us, right? So, Heather, when you are describing this first little step on the journey of awareness, I'm chuckling to myself a little bit, because like I'm thinking of these times when I was triggered and I'm like, oh, it was not that easy. Like, I could close my eyes and take the breath and be like, ground and center. And part of my mind would just be like, I don't even know how to ground myself. I don't even know what they're talking about. So, Heather, what do you do with your body or in your mind when you're trying to ground and center? See if you can describe it.
I imagine myself as a plant or a tree with the roots coming out of my feet. Just imagine the roots, like when you see the roots of a tree, how it goes deep down into the dirt. Just imagine that you're the tree and then you're standing tall and strong.
Oh, I love the tree. That's a great example. You can bring the vision of that in with your breathing and your pause moment. It's so important. Heather, thank you for saying yes to this project and especially for bringing the energy you brought to Peru with us. I enjoyed being with you and getting to know you and sharing that space with you and Ken, both of you. That's a huge thank you to what you brought to the trip in terms of just showing up with your authentic selves. It's a big deal, right? This is big potato stuff when you can play in a playground with people who are all taking responsibility for that process of awareness. And you two are, I don't know, I just feel so honored and grateful to have spent that time with you guys. Um, all right, Ken, your turn for this. Take a minute to introduce your chapter and give us a little bit of the why behind it.
Okay. Well, my chapter is called Quantum Spirituality, Finding the Center of Oneness. It's chapter 18. And the quantum spirituality comes from, well, you introduced me as a doctor in the beginning. I have a PhD in engineering. I used to teach at the University of Colorado in the aerospace engineering department. So I've got a lot of science background. But about 2 years ago, I actually started out with my first spiritual journey, which was due to the fact that I thought I was dying. I thought I had cancer. And I went to Teotihuacan, Mexico, and I believe I had a miracle there. And I met Jorge Delgado, who has become a teacher and a friend. I traveled all over the world with him. That this was my fourth trip with him to Egypt, to Peru, and then twice to Mexico, or twice to Peru. Anyway, so my goal looking at this is a lot of people who do science kind of discount the light work, the alchemy, the stuff that we do, and a lot of people that are into alchemy and light work discount science. I live in both worlds, and a big part of this was going to see the tachyon chamber that Jorge had recently installed at Lake Titicaca in the hotel, and I'm actually sitting in my quantum tachyon chamber, which is going live today too. I actually set the date today. This is the first time it will be fully fired up, fully functional, and I needed a deadline, but I thought this is a good one as any, and that's why I
That
wanted
is
to
so
schedule it today.
cool. That is
So you
so cool that you're doing that. Yes, I didn't know. Cool.
Yeah, you can kind of
Mm.
see the elements of the pyramid around me, and
Oh.
I've got some tectite stones. And anyway, the energy in this room right now is amazing. It's just incredible. So looking forward to launching that to the world. But basically, in my chapter, I talk a little bit about just my healing journeys, the different things I've done in Peru, especially, and just kind of the overall goal for this, because I want to bring science to light work and light work to science.
That is so fun and so amazing. I didn't realize you were going to be sitting inside of yours. This is such a topic, you guys. Oh my gosh, there's so much to say about like that one little tiny piece of the journey and what we learned about the tachyon chamber that Ken's talking about. That was in one of the hotels we stayed in. Like, oh my gosh, I think there's a whole book just on that one subject alone.
Yeah.
Um, Ken, you talked about being in both worlds, which I love because I sometimes think that some of us came around to be translators, to be the ones in both and the ones that could talk to the other group about the other thing and vice versa, to bring everyone together to the magic that can happen when those worlds collide, right? Like,
Right.
so if what do you want to say to the scientists who our other side is a little too woo for them?
Well, the one thing I can say is it's all quantum mechanics, or it's all prayer. You can call it whatever you want, but it's the same thing. It's the same energy. And science and spirituality are just different ways of looking at the world, trying to describe the things that we don't quite understand. I mean, you can think back to ancient man. They see storms in the sky, they see lightning, so they ascribe that to a god with lightning bolts who is going to punish them or something. But however it works out, I mean, they're all just descriptions of the reality that we live in. And if you just relax and let go a little bit, you could do some really amazing things. And I've seen things, I've done things, I've felt things that I had no even concept that they existed, and just putting my faith, and then Jeremy and Stephanie, who I've also traveled twice with, the three of those teachers on this trip, just the caring, the openness, the sharing, everything they give you, they are just literally giving you of themselves, and saying, hey, this is the path I walked. Just walk a little ways with me. Just come on a little bit with me and see what happens. And every time I do it, it's just amazing. It's just incredible.
I agree. I think Heather's been around that duo for a while now
Yeah.
too, so she probably gets it as well. All right, Ken, I'm going to stick with you here for this next question. I'll come
Okay.
around to you, Heather, for it also. But when we embrace the idea that we are the ones we've been waiting for, that journey is incredibly unique for each one of us. Give us an example of what that's meant for you on your day to day, being the one you've been waiting for.
Well, the reason my subtitle is Finding the Center of Oneness is because I kind of had a realization on this trip that I am what I need to be. I am what I need to look for. And I can, you can look at it as, I'm working with tachyon technology here. So, we're looking, time is kind of meaningless when you're looking at that. I can consider it the higher self, who I become, that I'm working with, or I guess it's kind of, I learned that no one else is going to do it for me. There are a lot of people who will help me, but if I can do it myself, why wouldn't I? Because I care about myself. I mean, I try and care about other people, but fundamentally, if I'm not caring about myself, how can I help other people? So to me, it's being that thing that I need to be. And it's kind of easy to do that when you put it in that way of looking at it, because everything that I learn, I help myself first. I stabilize myself first, and then I'm in a much better position to help other people. And I'm actually also in recovery. I'm sitting in my recovery center right now. So, I mean, that's recovery from alcohol and drug addiction. And since I've started doing all of this, I am so much more grounded when I go in to help somebody. And if somebody's kind of in a storm, moving around in the sea, just all over the place, if you're not in a stable place and you kind of reach onto them or grab hold of them, you're going to be moving around too and unstable. So I think the day-to-day thing is just bringing the stability. I mean, I take 30 seconds and do a clearing and meditation almost before everything I do. I did it before this call today. I do it before work meetings. I do it before healing sessions. And just finding my oneness, finding my peace, my stability before I try and go into anybody else's instability is something that absolutely is something I use every single day of my life, multiple times, and especially with my children. My animals haven't quite figured it out yet, but I'm working on that.
Thank you, Ken.
Sure.
You guys, Ken's really talking about what I said earlier, like this group of authors takes responsibility for their process. And in doing so, taking care of themselves means they can give to others in a very special, better, healthier way. And so I love listening to your version of that, Ken. Heather, for you, this idea that you are the one you've been waiting for, how does that play out in your day to day? Like, what's it meant to you personally?
It has helped me day to day, like finding my power, not being so codependent that I am me, because every one of us is our own self. And it also has brought awareness to any traumas that ancestral has passed along. And knowing that before I knew that I was the one I've been waiting for, I wasn't living the life that I thought it was for me. I was living a life of what other people wanted for me. And then when I realized I am the one that I've been waiting for, wow, I'm living my life authentically and finding my own power, knowing that I'm living my life the way my life should be lived.
This topic gets talked about so much and I'm pausing, I'm just listening to what Heather's saying, and I'm thinking to myself, you guys realize what a big deal this is, right? I think we hear it so much, live your authentic life, do that. No, you like the journey can be difficult to get to the place where you actually feel like you're living your best authentic life finally, right? For me, it took decades to get to the place where I really felt like I was living the life I was meant to live versus the way I was taught I should live it. And that's what Heather just said too. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just wanting to give you kudos, Heather, for sticking on the journey to get to that place. It's worth it, right?
Oh, yes, it's definitely worth it. I mean, it's a
Right? I think
long and challenging, journey, but at the end, it's really worth it.
so. Heather, what's the most important thing you want people to know about striking down the walls of trauma? Taking that from your chapter title.
Yeah, so striking down the walls of traumas, the traumas build the walls up around you, and you are constrained. You can't move. It's like being in prison. You have no freedom. So when you step into your power and strike down those walls of the traumas, you become freer and freer, and then you can live your life the way you want to live it.
Give me a practical example of how you struck one down. What are you talking about?
So, like in my chapter, I have traumas around with people in uniforms, like authority. When I began working on it and became more empowered and really stepped into my power, anytime I see an authority figure in uniform, I don't let it get to me because I know I'm in power. I'm in control. They can't hold me. They can't do anything to harm me.
I like that example. You guys are going to have to read Heather's story to really understand the details of that. So I hope you do. But that's a good example. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Ken, I'm going to take this from your chapter as well. What's the most important thing you want people to know about finding that center of oneness?
Well, usually when I do a session with the tachyon chamber with this technology, one of the things that we like to look at is past traumas as well, especially childhood, early life things that happened. And probably the simplest way to look at it is however bad that situation was, and we'll step back generally kind of very, softly because you don't want anybody to go into you're having a really bad moment, reliving a trauma. But we go back to that trauma, and then we look at what was it that got you through that. And I can think from my own life. I mean, there were times I literally wanted to die, where I didn't want to be here anymore, where things were just so terrible that I was done. I just didn't want to be a part of this anymore. But I got through that. And it's finding that thing that got you through that minute, that next minute when you didn't want to be here and you were here. And then you're here 30 minutes later and you're here an hour later. And I know how the story turns out, at least from that point of view when the trauma happened, because here I am sitting, a director of a recovery center, helping people, sitting here in my tachyon chamber, which it's a lot of fun doing this stuff, but it's that finding the thing that got you through and then bringing that energy back into your present life. And that's kind of that's really putting it in a nutshell, what I try and do with this. And so it's really useful in addiction and recovery, especially. There's so much childhood trauma in those situations. And, a lot of people who are in that, find themselves in that problem, had parents who were in that. It's a family situation, it's intergenerational. And if we can break that, so why go ahead and just live this life that you think you need to live that's going to put you in a dark place when you can break that, when you can find a way to figure out what helped you in that moment when you really needed it, whether that's your higher power, whether that's something, your higher self within you, whatever it is, if we can find that and bring that forward, then you can do a lot to just undo and almost immediately let go of some of the things that have been bothering you. And the first time I went through this was with another Toltec teacher who I studied with a lot, in the middle of a very large rock in a stream, and I let everything go. I let everything that I've been carrying for years and years and years go. And I actually talked to my younger self, to the me who was there, who was having that stuff happen as a 4-year-old kid. I mean, some pretty serious trauma I don't want to go into right now, but just knowing that I got through that, and that whatever happens in the future, there will be something else that comes in that gets me through that. And it's just this beautiful way, I think, of building life and realizing the just all of the benefits and all of the things that have always been there if we take advantage of them, if we look for them. But you can't sit here and say, who's going to do this for me? Someday some savior is going to come and get me out of the situation. That is not how it works. And sometimes it does. Sometimes somebody, like Jorge or Jeremy and Stephanie come into your life and lead you down a path where you can then see it for yourself. But I think all of this energy work, all of the healing that we do, ultimately the person has to do it themselves. And my role is just to help people get to a place where they can see that, just like so many people have done for me, especially over the last few years.
Yeah, a lot of gratitude to all the people, all of our
Oh yeah.
teachers, all of our guides, all of the people that come across our path to hey, come this way.
I
And
do want to say, I want
yeah.
to give a lot of gratitude to you because you taught me to write in a way. I mean, I write multiple pages a week, probably 10, 20, 30 pages a week of technical dry writing. And just very short instructions. You gave me a new way to express myself that I love. So thank you. You
No,
are a true teacher too. I consider you one of my teachers.
you are so welcome. I love that. It is one of my favorite things, and I hope that it shows. It sounds like it does. I love when I hear that from people who have, done a lot of technical writing and they just kind of fall in love with writing again because of the way that we're doing it. So I have, one last question for both of you today. So Ken, I'm going to hang out with you for a minute to ask
Okay.
this first, but in all of our books, all of these projects, they stand on top of a holistic framework. And when I think about authentic healing, I think about that word holistic: mind, body, soul, spirit, environment, like any other way you want to think about integrating. That's how I think of holistic. And it is important to me because of the results I've seen in myself and other people. Holistic, right? So, Ken, for you, why holistic? What do you want to leave the listeners with in terms of that message if they are seeking out there?
Well, I think a lot of people discount holistic because it's maybe not as backed up by science, not as backed up by by research studies where a lot of people went through it and did the same thing. But I mean, I've done my own studies, in my own life. I literally everything my Western medicine was telling me they thought I had liver cancer when I started this whole journey, when I went on these trips. And it doesn't matter if you believe that a miracle happened for me because a miracle happened for me. It doesn't matter if I believe it because it happened for me, but I do believe it and I want to share that. And so I think it really is. I mean, whether you look at it as energy systems, I mean, we already know that when you're stressed and you're in trauma, you don't heal very well. If you're constantly under attack and I mean by attack, I mean just in your daily life, everything coming in at you, even meditation. I mean, we know the benefits of that for the heart, for the mind, for all the things I talked about centering yourself. And why not look at that bigger picture? Because like you just said, I've seen miracles for other people, I've seen miracles for myself, and I want to explore that. And I know there's a lot of BS out there. There are a lot of shams out there. I mean, I can look at the tachyon chambers and tell you how the things they're saying, if they were true, they would destroy the earth. They are not possible. But there are energies around us that do help you, that are possible. And for me, I just want to explore that. And I'm 58, so I'm not going to have maybe another 20, 30 years to explore it, but I'm going to do what I can with it. And I believe that there is a kind of optimal combination. I mean, I'm not going to stop my Western medicine, but I'm also going to do all of this stuff too. And I think the two are very synergistic. They can work together. And yeah, so why not? If it works, and I've seen it work for me and others. So why not just embrace it and do it?
Yes, I love the way you described all of that. Thank you. I'm up for the miracles and I'm up for the exploration as well. Why not? I love that message. I hope you guys are receiving that message. And you, because you are the one you've been waiting for, you can understand what is good for you and what to lean into and what to go explore, right? That for me,
Yeah.
this, if I was going to answer that question about I am the one I've been waiting for, it really would be about trusting my own answers versus having to look outside of myself to anyone else to answer it for me. You both have been talking about that today already. Um, all right. So, Heather, for you, when you think of this holistic approach to your life, why has that been important to you? What message do you want to leave people with about that?
Well, for me, holistic, being with the mind, body, spirit, or soul, whichever, it has helped me a lot. I have tried many things, not holistic, and it actually made my life worse. And then when I took a holistic approach, it helped me a lot more than what the other approaches I did. And I realized that my body and mind is more of a natural approach. And just realizing that with the holistic, it really empowered me to really become one with my body and to know and be aware of if something's not right, here's a way that I can use it to help me.
Yeah, powerful. This is powerful stuff. I love that you mentioned one with your body. The embodied practices of holistic healing, I think, are part of the magic. And we could be talking about anything, but it's that integration that becomes that magic. Oh my gosh, you guys! I'm so happy today to see you both again. It feels like so long since we were in Peru together. Heather Wessling, Dr. Ken Gold, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone. Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
And right back at you. Thank you so much for everything you do. I mean, you gave me a real gift, Laura. And again, I already said that a minute ago, but I want to thank you for that.
You are welcome. This is it, you guys. Got to go buy your copy today. Okay. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Hop over to Amazon. Help us get this magic into the world. This is other level book. This isn't just a book. This is a generous community of experts who care. Maybe you heard something that Heather or Ken said today and you got the goosebumps, or you have a question, or you need some support. Drop down into the show notes because I have them hooked up with their links and they're ready to answer the question and give you a little bit of that support. This community is phenomenal. So I hope you go explore all the things that they're up to. The book is ready on Amazon. Go grab your beautiful copy. If you're listening to this in time, you can come to the book launch party and meet all the authors. March 7th, 11 a.m. I've got the info down below for that as well. And lastly, today, everyone, remember your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.